we're Star Studio from Mission College. This is my team, Barty, Diane, Rita, and Jedrick. We had the opportunity working with Dr. Benjamin Wang on developing an ad campaign for NEVAP. When I was paired up with Benjamin Wang, I had no idea what NEVAP is. NE is a Latin word for prevent. VAP is an acronym for ventilator-associated pneumonia. We use color to emphasize the readability of the name because the meaning of the name is so important to the brand. The blue shows trust and the green represent life. That is, and where the slash convey, this is where we draw the line against VAP. Ben is going to talk about the product and what it prevents.
So, ventilator-associated pneumonia is actually the biggest, most costly, and most deadly ICU infection today. And what's very interesting is nobody knows that it exists except healthcare workers. This year alone, there are going to be 250,000 cases of VAP here in the United States, and over half of those patients are going to die. What's even worse for the hospitals, it's going to cost them $10 billion to treat, and that's with bad outcomes. Here at NEVAP, we've created a breathing tube that is basically designed to prevent this type of infection. But one of the things that we need desperately is help getting the word out that this is a problem to patients, to doctors, to let them know that there's a solution out there that if they pick up and use, that we can change this problem. We also need the healthcare industry to basically see that there is a better solution and to recognize if they have 10, 50, 100 cases of VAP at their hospital, that this is something they need to be looking at. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ben. So our target audience is all level of executives at healthcare institution, primary physicians, hospital administrators, and CFO. Placing these ads are perfect for NEVAP because 56% of the subscriber is in top management and 82% can influence purchasing decisions. The target objective of our campaign is to place the product in all hospitals and also to educate the general public about VAP. With that said, the name of our campaign is Protect More Lives. Protect More Lives. This is our print, and I'm going to have Jedrick to talk about the creative solution.
So we designed the ad campaign. To invoke an emotional connection to our target audience. So we picked an image that normally the decision makers do not see on the day-to-day basis. And we want them to see that there is a problem and that NEVAP is out there that could be part of a solution.
So for our digital, we kept the image and the message to the audience consistent. So in our digital banner, there is a clickable link that drives the audience to the website to learn more about the breathing tube. For our media rollout plan, our strategy was to build brand awareness. We're going to start the ad campaign in June because the Business Journal has a focus section in excellence in healthcare. So this is the best way we think to introduce NEVAP to the Business Journal subscriber. Then we're going to follow up with a digital introduction. And in August and September, we targeted heavily with print because this is when the hospital are trying to avoid penalties. In October, we placed an afternoon banner to maximize the exposure to our target audience because physicians are often busy in the morning. And then we also place an ad in November because the Business Journal has a special edition for hospital. And then we end the campaign with one more print ad before the holiday. This is our target, this is our cost breakdown. We place 32% of our budget in digital because based on our marketing research to physicians, they are absolutely tech first, often on their mobile and tablet checking on lab results. The breathing tube is not a new medical device. With advances in technology, we should be doing better at protecting patients against VAP. That is why NEVAP is here to protect what matters most. Thank you.
I love that you show the product. I love that I know what I'm supposed to be looking at based off of your initial visual. So thank you for clearly communicating what the product is and looks like and what the issue is. You mentioned emotion in one of your I think it was one of your print ads. And emotion certainly sells. But emotion sells to a consumer market. You are not marketing to the consumer. You're not marketing to the person who needs this device. You're marketing to the person who is going to make the decision to use this device in his or her facility. So it would be interesting to see from a B2B perspective what the emotion could be. I think emotion is important. I think the vast majority of our healthcare facilities in the Valley do a very good job of explaining who they are and what they do with emotion. But using the term cause marketing, I think it would be interesting to see what you might do from a B2B perspective. And then your media rollout plan is legit. I love it. If I, as the agency guy on the panel, if I gave this to my sales rep at the Business Journal, she would love this. She doesn't get this from us. This is awesome. That's, that doesn't always happen in the real world, but that's very cool. So could you maybe perhaps give me some insight into what your thought process was with the emotion, B2B, B2C, et cetera?
So the second objective of the ad was to educate the general public. So we were thinking, using the emotional connection with readers, it's like them asking the question, like, we state a statistics about ventilator-associated pneumonia. So it's just like having the reader, like, why isn't the hospitals doing more to evoke a question? Like, why isn't the hospital changing that?
Yeah, I agree that I think a little deeper dive into understanding that target audience and what makes them tick around making a decision of how they're going to spend the money in the hospital. That's who you want to get to. And so, but that said, you have a lot of good components working for you here. So this is, understanding perhaps other insights around that decision-making process might be helpful. If you found out that 67% of the hospital budgets go to wasted, something.
Yeah. Okay.
But that money could be going towards helping patients, which is really the goal, right? They want to help people help themselves, help their lives, be healthy. And so I think that this product kind of, if we want to find an emotional connection, that finding out what the mission of the hospital is and what makes that decision-making happen, if that was part of your strategy and your insights, it might be helpful in defining headlines. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I guess that my question starts with, what is do we know from your client what is the barrier to adoption? Is it that doctors don't know about this product? Is it that the product is new? Is it that the competition is, what are we trying to solve here for?
So Breathing tubes are not new to this market, but as again what we said, we're introducing NEVAP's product, which is called the Asset, the breathing tube, that it offers a better solution. So
Why is it better?
there's like it has like the mechanism on how it is assembled, that it reduces the risk of having the patient get infected with the ventilated associated pneumonia.
Okay. So,
So basically, NEVAP's solution is the only tube that is that's able to do continuous suction.
okay.
Like,
So if I'm a doctor, that matters,
yeah.
and that's not there.
I-
So,
Could I mention something to her point? She's mentioning it goes back to the audience piece,
Yeah.
but I think there's a whole education component to this as well, because I would take a poll and I would guesstimate that 98% of the people in this room didn't even know about that, right, to begin with, before we walked in here tonight.
Yeah.
So there's an education campaign opportunity from a brand awareness standpoint,
Yeah.
but figuring out who you're advertising to
yeah.
is going to be important.
Because building on that, I mean, I go back to your strategy, and you're talking to all levels of executive at healthcare institutions. So if you're talking to, but then your objective is to place the product and to educate the general public. So one of your objectives does not align with your audience.
Okay.
Because if your audience is executives, then educating the general public it shouldn't be the right objective. What you're trying to do is gain awareness about why this product saves costs. All doctors want to save lives. So why does this, so I'm just missing a little bit as to
Okay.
why if I'm a healthcare professional, I've learned that VAP is the most common and deadly ICU-acquired infection. I still haven't learned why NEVAP.
Got it.
You know what I might do? I like your creative. I like the emotional response that I even get from this. But what hospital administrators want is, because it's such a highly regulated industry, they need data, and the data sells. And they're going to make their decision not based on emotion. Unfortunately, they're going to make their decision based on the data. So if you're able to provide data points through your creative of why this is going to help them retain, current patients, or how this is going to get them new patients when they have a choice of where to go, those are going to be key selling points through your creative.
And I think that again, when you talk to health professionals, saving lives, protecting what matters most, that's a given for them. They take a Hippocratic oath for that, right? So I'm not sure if that's the way in for that audience. That's the way in for that father sitting by the daughter's bed.
Oh,
And the only other thing I'd add is that at some point, maybe a testimonial could be really valuable here to validate the business and the product.
to answer some of your queries, so we've allotted a good portion of a budget for digital media, which is for like our call to action, where we emphasize like how you will learn about NEVAP, which is a link to their webpage. So that is where we call people to get them to know NEVAP.
But what everybody needs to understand is that in this world of digital clutter, if the ad does not, the ad needs to get you to link. So you need to do something to get them to get more information. So even if you're going to drive them to a landing page with all the information and all the testimonials, if they don't click, then you're not successful. So I think that, and for the record, it's just like healthcare advertising is really, really, really hard. It's hard. It's super regulated. It's really, really hard. So I think that there's a lot of good nuggets here, I'm still wondering again why, if I'm a if I'm a healthcare administrator, what's in it? Why am I thinking about this product?
Yeah, and to add to that, I think, it could be simply just putting in, a few bullet points, no more than 3 on that type of ad of really like what are those key items, because you obviously have the picture, which is great, so people can automatically see what it actually is, but to actually explain like how will this help, to really differentiate so people get it first glance. And then just secondly, I really do like your media rollout plan. I thought that was very thoughtful and strategic at the same time, and so be excited to see that actually roll out if it does.
Thank you, judges. All right, we're moving along. Let's remind people the rules again. How many minutes for the presentations? We got 5 more people. We don't want to be here till midnight. And that includes the judges' 5 minutes, not per person. Let's, naughty. All right, let's bring up Cosmic Graphics representing Dunan Sensing.
Hello, good evening, everyone. We partnered with Dunan Sensing to do this. We partnered with Dunan Sensing to do this ad campaign, and I wanted to give a little background on what they are. Dunan Sensing is a company that offers high-performance OEM harsh compatible pressure sensors for industries like HVAC, medical, automotive, and industrial. They use DuraSense technology, which allows their products to be accurate, affordable, and durable. The company objective is to get into the medical technology market, also to work with HVAC contractors, to get a foothold into the pressure sensor market, and to gain feedback from their customers. And for the campaign, we wanted to increase the number of samples that they sent out, also gain new customers, and gain that placement into the sensor market. And our target audience are CEOs of medical technology companies, HVAC contractors, Silicon Valley Business Journal subscribers, specifically owners and top management, and purchase influencers.
All right, so our creative concept was to create an ad that is unique and intriguing to pull in future clients and gain company awareness. And they create sensor products that come in many shapes and sizes. There's no one industry standard. They do air conditioning, automotives, and hospitals, but they're more focused on hospitals. And we kind of wanted to show that in our ads. And let's see. And they're not a house-owned business. And they didn't want their ads to be too wordy, and they wanted icons to help a lot. And they do most of their manufacturing in-house, so they make everything in their facility, and they also do the packaging and shipping in their facility as well. So with the print, we did a 1 full-page ad. We did a 1/2 horizontal, a 1/4 square, and the island. And for the digital, we did some impressions, and we did the morning edition. So it was a total of 20,388.
Okay, so for our timeline, we wanted to put more for hospitals. So in the on on the 24th, the HVAC contractors, we decided to put the island ad and the half square. And then in August, there's the medical technologies, which will include the full page and the half horizontal. And then for the morning edition, there's going to be the oh God, I can't say that number. There's going to be the top bottom banner with the, oh my God, 130,000 impressions. Okay, so this is our full page ad. So we wanted to stick with their Okay, so we wanted to really stick with their brand guidelines. So we wanted to stick with their main colors. And then we also wanted to make it a little different because we noticed that many of their competitions, a lot of their ads are really wordy. And they don't really show that their product can really speak for itself. So we wanted to make something a little different. So we decided to do more of a graphic design illustration to show that where their product will go inside, and they really want to influence that they really put accuracy, reliability, and affordability in their products. So for accuracy, their pressure sensors, they have a lot of sensibility, and their time response is very well on time. For reliability, their products are always durable, and all of their products are 100% tested compared to other companies. So they make sure they're all tested before it's shipped. So the products, when they grab it, they're already really working. So their pressures are also, they come in different temperatures, and and for different types. And then for affordability, they can customize your bulk order. And then for each ad, there's a QR code, and then this QR code will lead to a sample request pager form that's on their website. So this is the half horizontal. This is the 1/4 square. This is the island ad, and then this is the digital banner. Thank you.
Judges.
Can you open up, go back to just your print? That's fine. Or that one. I like. Can you talk to me a little bit about the retro look in the ad, or like the look and feel that you chose? Why did you make that choice?
Okay, so we made this choice because they wanted to go more toward a more different look. Because when it comes to their competitions, a lot of their ads are very wordy, and then they have to have like a lot of pictures and words to represent their own product. So we wanted to do something that would catch a lot of people's attention. So we wanted to go more of an illustration feel with a little bit of to catch their eye, and then we wanted to show the real look of the product that would be inside whatever we illustrated, which is the CPAP machine.
And then, does the contents under pressure, did you guys come up with that, or is that something that you ladies come up with that, the contents under pressure?
No, so that was something that they really emphasized in their old advertisement that we decided to add into the new one.
So I think that I can talk about the strategy, but just specifically about the creative, I think that I have a watch out in that if you're in the high-tech medical device area and you choose to go with a retro look, it takes away the tech and the technology from the product, and that's kind of a little dangerous. I would think. Like if you have a really high tech product that you're trying to put in the medical technology market, and you choose to go with a look that it's a little bit old fashioned for the sake of being different. Being different is not going to help you with your positioning in the high tech medical device area. So that's a little bit about the choice on the creative, but.
Yeah, and I had a question about I guess the product actually looks very low-tech to me, and it sounds like, and I'm guessing here, that it's been in existence for a long time, and that these are assumptions I'm making, that it's a tried and true part, that you just want to expand into another audience. Is that accurate? And if that's the case, then I think that a nostalgic point of view could be a good differentiator, if that is the case.
But we don't know, because I don't know what your strategy, like
That's
what your
right.
key message is, like what you're trying to, I'm
Yeah.
getting from your strategy that you want to, gain the technology market, you want to work with contractors, but when it comes to the advertising, I don't have a clear idea of what you're trying to communicate with the ad, because it's not.
Yeah.
I only see that you want more samples, but I don't see. You're assuming that everybody knows how to use a scan code, but you're not driving for that. So I think that you have. If I go at the, you are trying to do something. You're saying that you're creating an ad that is unique and intriguing, but you still are not telling me what you're trying to say about the product.
Yeah.
And it's hard for us to judge the creative without knowing what is it exactly you're trying to say.
I think it was like another point that we wanted to do was we wanted to do more of a vector and an iconic feel toward the advertisement that would draw more of the users for more of a recognizable image.
But
Yeah.
recognition is not a strategy.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like everybody wants to do work that is iconic and memorable.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's the wrapping of the gift, but you need to know what the gift is before you can wrap it, right? So I don't know if that's a good analogy, but it's Christmas. It's Christmas time. It's a holiday season. Yeah, any holiday. But I think it's got. What's the idea? Like we need to know our market. We need to know our audience. We need to understand the insights. And I think everybody we've seen so far, and I'm sure coming up, but understanding the insights that gets to the hearts and the minds of the decision maker, the consumer, or the business person. Like we need to understand who they are, what makes them tick. And once we figure that out, we can start to ideate and come up with ideas, and then what style is going to best communicate that idea? What type of tone of copy is going to best communicate that idea? So I think it's an interesting style. French Paper Company years ago did a beautiful take on this approach that you might want to look up. But it's just a style. Fashion is what you make it. Fashion is given to you, style is what you make it, right? So anyway, I think you need to go back to the roots of who it is you're trying to talk to, what are you trying to say that will help further what you do.
Yeah, just a few more comments. So two things, just from an actual visual perspective, I would also say I think that with having like the QR code and the address on there, it kind of actually takes away from the actual imagery of what you guys are trying to convey. It actually looks like it's just more clutter. So I think, as a recommendation, you could instead, maybe you could keep a phone number if they still want that localized touch, but also put an email too, and you could just remove the address. And then secondly, I would say, so IBM, we're over, a century old. And so from that instance, when I wasn't at the company yet when we had celebrated our centennial, but from looking back and working with my colleagues of seeing that type of creative work that they did to really showcase, let's look back, over 100 years to see what we've accomplished along the way, but they still made it so innovative and relevant so people could, so you can even Google that or put it in YouTube of IBM's, 100-year centennial, and you can actually see the video of how they actually put somebody from who was literally 100 years old and went through to like being a newborn baby of all the innovations that have happened from the company. And so I think if you do want to go retro, you could really have a compelling hook and frame it in such a way for, you know, a product that may have been around a while.
Just a couple quick comments. You, I believe, are the only so far tonight team to clearly communicate in one of your first slides, not just the campaign objective, but the company objective, and link the two in the same slide, which I loved, which got major points from me, especially as an agency guy, because we do that all day long. But I'm not seeing that slide communicated in the creative. And I think that's where I'm finding the difficulty in trying to draw that parallel. I can appreciate some of that style because it actually does stand out in the Business Journal. Because I'll bet you $10 you're not going to see some ad in the Business Journal this Friday quite like that. It is unique, but I think it might be an approach that needs to be thought out a little bit more. I was also curious about what happened with the other $5,000. $5,000 is a lot of money. I'm wondering if that was a conscious decision not to spend those extra dollars, or what happened to those. But thank you for your presentation tonight.
Thank you, judges. All right. So in your agenda, we have a 10-minute break. But if our judges are good, we can keep rolling. We have 4 more to go. What do you think? Keep going? Yeah. All right, let's roll. Let's bring up Adventure, representing Property Interchanges. Do it.
Hi everyone, my name is Joel Ruiz. I'm with Property Interchanges. I want to thank the Silicon Valley Business Journal, Wells Fargo, West Valley, and Adventure.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Jessica Mora, and I will be talking about our successful campaign, hopefully. So let's get to it. First of all, we have a challenge, right? So our challenge was to create a successful marketing campaign with the objective of increasing brand awareness and identity for property interchanges and build those relationships with clients and so forth. So then we have the market analysis, the market position. So we know that they were founded in 2016. From that, we can tell that they are pretty new. And so they have lack of experience and lack of branding. That's what we want to work on. Competitors, we have retail buyers and investors. Market trends, we can tell from the real estate market that the home prices are going up. We also see lack of available homes for sales. And regardless of that, we can still see job growth and income continues to fuel multifamily housing. Market opportunity. So property insurance is an opportunity to target people that are under distressed situations, such as probate cases, foreclosure, divorces. Unique selling proposition. So property exchanges' main proposition is cash buying offers and buying a house as it is. That means that they will buy the house at any given condition and they will just remodel that house and sell it back to the market. No transaction fees, they will work with time efficiency and they will lower the hassle for their customers. Campaign structure. So we have a target audience. We decided to create a multi-channel marketing campaign, including homeowners and home buyers, agents and contractors. Why did we pick that? Because the homeowners and buyers are their clients, and the agents and contractors are the team members. Because they are really new and they only have 1 year in the market, they want to build those relationships with people that are going to be working with them at the end. For that, with that being said, we have demographic characteristics. So we have the age range between 27 and 65, and then the income range. Let's move forward. Target audience starts from the business journal source. This is very important for us because we can tell that 31% subscribers from the business journal read the real estate hub, and that is part of our business. So we thought that those were good stats for us. Now, 46% follow a link from the email newsletter, and 68% of them share that email with others. The reason why this is important for us is because we can work with the digital campaign and focus on the newsletters because that's where people are sharing. And we want to target those people. And for the campaign structure, we have a budget of $25,000. Out of those $25,000, we are going to spend $19,610, and that they are going to be divided between one full page, two half of a page, 4 quarters of a page, and 2 island. Then we have the digital, which will we will acquire a package of 130,000 impressions per month. Then the upper banner that runs 6 times a week, and the upper and third logo that also runs 6 times a week. I will give you a reason why we specifically pick these ads. Now let's get to the plan. What was the plan? The plan is to run this campaign for 3 months, which will give us a better chance to stay in touch with the audience. We want to make those $25,000 last as long as we can, but also make the campaign smarter. So for the timeline, we pick 3 months, May, June, and July. Why did we pick them? Because this is kind of like the last part of spring and the beginning of summer. This is probably the time where people are looking for houses and they want to buy it, and then they want to move over the summer because kids are out of school. So it will be good for us to target those specifically months where we know that the real estate business has more potential, let's say that. And then in that sense, we also divide the ads between the target audience. So for the full page, this run will be targeted to everybody, homeowners, agents and contractors, to create those relationships, and then we pick the content that will match with them. Then we have the horizontal ad that is also a mixer. Then for the square, we have the first square that it will be devoted only to the agents, and then the second square, a quarter, will be devoted to homeowners. That's for May. Then we have June. We did the same structure, so we picked island, 2 a quarter, and then 1 island. July, we decided to run all the digital campaign, but because we still wanted to make a presence on the print, in the business journal, then we also decided to place the half a page on that last month. So let's get to the creative executions and the designs. Our team worked with Joel and Michael to create a campaign that will build brand awareness and that will be unique, eye-catching, and that will compel these words: honesty, memorable, friendly, edgy, and professional. So let's get to the print ads. We have the full page where you can see that we kind of play with the color scheme of the logo. So we have 4 colors for the color scheme, right? But we decided to pick the dark colors to make the backgrounds. Those are like the strong colors. And then the light colors are the colors that will add detail to our designs. If we go to the next one, is the mixer, then we can see that we have a call to action almost in all the ads. We also have the logo in all the ads because it's brand awareness. So we want to keep the logo. We want to keep the phone number in all of them. And we also want to keep the email. Now, we did 2 different things for the email. For the print ads, we use the info ad property interchanges, right? But then for the digital campaign, we want people to actually go to our website because we have less time for people to explain what is going on and what they are looking for. So if they go directly to the website with the link that we have on the impressions design, they will get more information. We did that because it's just more efficient, and we want to work smarter with our target audience. We want them to be able to have the knowledge on the print ads, and whatever is not clear for them on the print, then they still can go to the website through the digital campaign. And then we also have the upper banner and text and logo, and then we have the upper banner, which has like a little bit of more content, but it also applies to every target audience. So we wanted to be very specific with the target. Thank you very much for listening. We hope you like it.
Thank you so much for your presentation. This was very close to being at legit agency level of presentation. This is very carefully thought out. It is very close to being impeccably executed. Kudos. I love that you mentioned Real Estate Hub. You know, you really know the journal. You've done your research on the publication itself. One constructive criticism piece might be, if I were to balance those lovely comments with something, it might be your schedule. You're targeting summer, which is interesting, and I understand why you're doing that, but I would venture to guess, and I don't have the data in front of me, but as the agency guy, I wouldn't recommend that for our clients, because I know that the key decision makers who are reading the journal are at their Tahoe or Monterey homes during the summer, and their eyes are not on the publication as much as the other months during the year. So it's interesting how you might balance that if you were to be successful in this competition. But really, really strong presentation.
Can I make a comment on that?
Please.
Actually, we talked about the summertime, and we pick May and June and July because that's actually mainly a spring, half of the spring, and just the beginning of summer. So we didn't target the whole summer because of that. But we wanted to have a little bit of the summer just because people may move in during those months, and so they will still be able to check what are the options. You know, we are looking for this, so we will just check at the time. So that's what we did. Thank you. Thank you, Maria.
Other comments, Judge?
I would just echo that it was fantastic and really great data. I think so. Every comment wasn't, just pulled from the sky or nebulous. You guys had tangible data to back up every claim that you made. So I thought that was also a really great benefit, having been on the agency side as well as on the client side, and having agencies come to me with these types of presentations. So wonderful job.
So if I'm looking at this correctly, you have two audiences for the ads. One is the owner-seller, and the other is like a recruitment ad?
Yeah, exactly, because they are pretty new. So they want to target the customers, but they also want to build their team. And their team is made of agents and contractors. But we also have a mixer. We call a mixer to that ad that will target all of them at once. So if we go to the full page, I can go back now, but in the full page, it says why to work with us, and it gives you specific reasons why to work with us. Within those reasons, it will target not only the homeowners, but also the agents and the contractors. You can see why to work with us, and then you have bullet points about the reasons. So we want to have like call to action there.
Okay, so I think that's good, and I echo the other judges' comments that the presentation was really thought of. My only watch out to you and to every other team is that, we need to be really choiceful of the words that we use to make sure that they're just not words, but that they mean something. So when you say something, and there's a lot here that I like, as well as how you constructed the narrative for your campaign, but when you say something like working with the best, and I'm looking at your digital banners, working with the best team of agents and contractors to offer the best solutions to our clients in a timely manner and without hassle. That sounds a little bit generic, like any real estate agency can say that. Mm-hmm. And you've done a great case to sort of set up where your USP is and why you're different. So you kind of need to look at, for you and for everybody in this room that wants to be in advertising, every word matters. And, just you need to make it crisp. You need to make it generic. So you need to make it crisp and not generic. And when I look at an ad and I say, well, if I put it, another firm here,
Yeah.
can they stand by that copy? And if they can, then you need to work harder.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Thanks for your comment.
And I agree with my co-judges that lots of beautiful input for you guys to pull from. So I'll come from a creative point of view on the visual vocabulary of what you're representing. I think, again, simplification across the board for both your B2B, I guess in the B2C markets here, that you simplify your components and be consistent with how you're using typography, the logo, and overall simplify the amount of content. And then if you want to have a visual vocabulary of photography and you want to complement it with illustration, that you orchestrate it to work together a little bit more cohesively.
Okay.
I think that will, you want to focus your attention on the message and the words. You want to lead the viewer through the marketing elements. And to do that, the more you simplify it, the easier they can get to the messaging. And to that point, again, I would say consider probably a third of the amount of copy that you have within all your ads, and especially within your digital components there. And I think within your digital, that you're focusing highly on the name property interchanges, but what does that mean to me as someone who's looking at this ad? Is that going to compel me to click on that ad to go to your website? So again, just really, being mindful of your visual vocabulary and the usage of all of those elements.
Yeah,
And the way that I think about digital display is that you don't build a brand through digital display. It drives to an action. It takes you to a landing page where there you have all the information.
Yeah.
So you don't have to spend so much real estate of a small, tiny ad, which people are going to see in a mobile phone, by putting the company name. It's like you can use it to say something else that's going to get people to click.
Okay, I think for some reason we forgot to put the slogan. So at the beginning we came up with a slogan that say real estate, real solution. We kept the slogan throughout the campaign. And I guess for a matter of time, we didn't realize we didn't have the slogan precisely there. We could have just reduced the typeface of the property interchanges, add the slogan, add the call to action, and then we do have the link to the website, so they can still click on it. But great comments, thanks for that.
Thank you, judges.
Thank you.
All right, let's keep it going. Let's bring up Hex Corps 4 representing Santa Cruz Rehearsal Studios.
Hey everyone, we are Hex Corps 4, and the company we created our marketing campaign for is the Santa Cruz Rehearsal Studios. So I am Mana.
My name is Nick.
And my name is Joseph.
And unfortunately, our fourth group member, George, was not able to make it today, and neither was our client, Jen. So Santa Cruz Rehearsal Studios is an hourly band practice space serving the needs of local Santa Cruz musicians who cannot practice at home. Imagine a metal band whose members all work 9 to 5, get off of work, and play loud at 10 p.m. They can't do that in their rental house or apartment due to noise complaints, so they rent a studio for 2 hours to practice. The studios are open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to midnight. So the rehearsal studio's mission is to provide local and touring musicians an affordable, clean, and safe place to hone their craft. Our objective is to advertise for this family-run business while maintaining their low-key and hip image. So here are some pictures of the studios. They start at $15 an hour, and here is some of the gear available, indicating the available prices and all the equipment that's available to you. So our target audience is musicians, male or female, young or old, anyone who needs a time and a place to practice. The prices are within reach of a college student, so anyone with a disposable income who wishes to practice can come to the Santa Cruz Rehearsal Studios. Much like people pay for the gym when they could just like run around the block, you could get a space to work at, to get work done. So from our budget of $25,000, we created 4 full-page ads, an upper banner ad, an island, a banner, and a half-page spread, which totaled to $24,003. So all of our ads have the tagline, "Play loud, play late," which really showcases what Santa Cruz Rehearsal Studios is all about. And this one has 2 variations. It's a full-page ad. And so the first 3 ads, including this one we made, are illustrations that represent the Santa Cruz Rehearsal Studios. The first 2 variations show musicians playing in a private studio and incorporate actual images below of the space. The next ad emphasizes the equipment that will be available throughout the studio in an illustration.
In addition to the ads that we created with illustrations, the next 3 ads, we also utilized photos of the actual studios to get more of a sense of familiarity to the viewers of Silicon Valley Business Journal. To create consistency, we use the same color palette throughout the ads, as well as the same tagline, "Play loud, play late." This is our final print ad, again with the same color scheme and tagline, with the incentive of $10 off your first visit if you mention the Silicon Valley Business Journal, which of course we asked permission from our company if she was okay to do that for us. So this is our timeline of when we would like to display each print ad. It starts in August and ends in January. We chose the fall and the winter seasons because it is when the studio has the most customers, and based on this, the larger spread ads will be displayed earlier in the timeline as a stronger method to attract customers, and the smaller ad will be displayed as the working months dwindle down. In addition to the print ads, we also created the digital ads. This way, we also reach out to the customers who read the Silicon Valley Business Journal online. So for the upper banner, it drops for 2 weeks, and we plan to drop that in August. And the banner below is the morning and afternoon edition bundle that's going to drop 5 times per week, Monday through Friday, the first week of September. This way, we could draw in last-minute customers before the company's busiest month. And as we come to the end of our presentation, I would like to highlight a few reviews customers have said about Santa Cruz Rehearsal Studios that helped us with the direction of our ad campaign. The first one, you can see we highlighted, I wanted to emphasize, it says, "It's like they understand who they're catering to. We all love that it's a rad family-owned space managed by people who genuinely know music and respect musicians." With the second review, I wanted to emphasize the place is intimate. And for the last one, the rates and the scheduling are always right on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Okay, you guys might have had the most fun client. Yeah, play loud, play late. I love that. I just think that's really strong. And I'm going to let my colleagues speak to strategy and media, but I'm going to jump right in with design. Again, I think that simplifying your design system around your materials will go far. So I think I saw 3 different approaches to how you're treating the graphics and the typography. So just simplify overall and focus in on your CTA. And I think that will go far. And in particular for this audience, and I meant to ask this earlier, but we're focusing on print and digital banner ads, but we're not looking at social. And I think that this in particular has a great opportunity for, Instagram, Facebook, et cetera.
So originally we had a lot of like social media approaches, Yelp approaches, like flyers, because for studio spaces you have flyers, and currently the studios work a lot from word of mouth, and they have like First Fridays, but because of the campaign we limited it to just the ads in the Silicon Valley Business Journal. But social media is definitely a factor that we wanted to incorporate, especially because Santa Cruz is a very college, musician, artist-based area, and it draws in a lot of customers through that.
Right, and I think that's all good, but I think that there's still a social component. I would beg that there is probably an audience who's following, and that it's a simple thing for a small business to do is to set up a platform and start building some awareness there. And also from a creative point of view, that when you do make presentations and you present outside of what's being asked, even if there's no budget for it, sometimes you get budget for that. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Okay.
You guys nailed the tag. You guys nailed it. It was awesome. The audience strategy could be further developed. That would be interesting to see where that would go. One of your slides mentions that target audience includes, prices are within reach of a college student, so anyone with disposable income, right? So you're targeting an audience that might be the kid of the decision maker of the Business Journal who's reading this publication. The kid might not be reading this publication. So the strategy from a creative standpoint might also change. When mom or dad are footing the bill for tuition at UC Santa Cruz. However, you included some testimonials there, which would be interesting also from a creative standpoint and from a messaging standpoint, right? I'm not the creative guy, I'm the messaging guy, right? But I want to see that, right? I want to see that, yeah. And if I'm a student at UC Santa Cruz, I know, for example, Kumbah Jazz in Santa Cruz, right? So if you get an influencer from Kumbah Jazz who's played, who's what do they call it? Jammed there, right? What do the kids call it now?
Jam.
Yeah. I feel old in this room.
Jamming.
Right? If they've jammed there, right? That might be a good strategy to influence some of those key decision makers to say, hey, to their son or daughter, have you thought about this? It's really affordable, et cetera. So I think an audience development, deep dive would be good from a both messaging standpoint as well as creative standpoint. Also, just a really quick side note for everybody here tonight. I'm just noticing this panel rocks. This panel really is, Jay, kudos to Jay right here, because Jay and Sam found people who are giving comments from media, PR, strategy, messaging, and creative. That might be a first from years that I've participated in this. So nice job, Sam.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I think that if play loud, play safe is a great...
Play loud, play late.
Precisely. It's safe.
Not
It's
safe, late.
Okay. It's that I'll be loud and not late. So that's a really clever clever tagline. So kudos to the team that's a great way to market a recording studio. I think that I'm going to echo his comments in terms of your audience. If this is really going to go in the Silicon Valley Business Journal, the local and touring musicians are not reading the journal. So I think that you probably need to do some rethinking around who your audience is, because maybe it's like, young tech executives that need to release some steam, and they can go to the studio, play loud, play late. And by the way, all the instruments are there already. So I think that what you're saying is very clever, but you need to rethink who you're saying it to, because your audience is not necessarily the reader of the journal, that I would think so. But I think that if you're going after like the young tech sec that needs to sort of, to me, it's like, come here to release steam. Like, you work really hard. And then another thing from storytelling, like as you in the real world, it is your final slide. You could have done a better job at setting up who your strategy is, like a little bit on the strategy. You went straight into the media and how you're using the media. So I would have encouraged, I would have advised a little bit of more setup, but your final slide, it's actually how we begin the story. Like, this is the insights about the Santa Cruz Recording Studio. And when you're in the real world, you look at this, and then you sort of, from here, you figure out the insights that are going to drive the creative. So it's like, the insights are about like, you're highlighting rates and scheduling. You're not talking about rates and scheduling here, which is another way that you could go. It's like, it's cheap, right? And anybody can go. Again, depends on who you're talking to. But in the real world, we look at this to figure out what is the right way into the message that eventually helps you build the narrative around why play loud. What's it? Play loud, play late.
Play loud, play late.
why that's the right thing to say. So I would look for those. I would look for this as the validation why you're like in the play loud, play late. People, what people are saying is that they like it because they can play loud, or because they can be here after hours, and that this in the storytelling comes earlier than when you put it.
So great presentation. So I was going to comment specifically kind of on like the EdCal quote more or less of that schedule. So I think, as every business in this room, the objective is to get more clients, more business. So I would, propose from a real world perspective to actually not only just be marketing throughout August through January of your peak months, but actually before that too, to like help tease it. So you could actually add more advertising. So even though spring and summer, we know people are automatically outdoors more, especially in Santa Cruz, of course, but I think that can also remind people and get them in. So then that way, they're not getting reminded, say, in like fall when it's incredibly impacted, or it's, great that they want to have more business during that time. But I think if you're trying to get your client more business, then you're going to not just want to cater to 6 months out of the year. You're going to want to try to, leverage that as much as possible and help get them more business in those off times of the year.
So if I can comment on that, that is why we offered the incentive for the $10 off. That was going to be on the ad that we release in January, which is a slower month. So that was our kind of incentive to pull people in during the slower months in the beginning of the year.
And another thing to add to that, when we were talking to them about like when they get the most business and when they don't, like advertising is like a very new thing for them. It's a family-owned business for a husband and a wife, Jennifer and Paul. And for them, like the most common thing they use is word of mouth and flyers. So originally, like we actually created some mock-up of flyers, which like after your commentary, I wish we included in here, but we didn't. And so based on that, we did the ads and what we would do outside of that, because they like to keep their like low-key hip image, but versus like putting themselves totally out there, but still getting their word out.
Got it. So yeah, so then to that extent, yeah, I would say then for on those off months to make sure when they're not actually in the publication to be doing the flyers, even social media could be a great push in a social media strategy throughout
Definitely
those
like
off
lots
months.
of Yelp reviews and social media. Yeah.
I might actually take 90% of your budget and roll it into digital. I'm not sure that having that much into print is going to do you any favors. I would take, not all of it, but I would take a generous portion of it and roll it into digital and see what happens. And probably, do some run of sight, gather some large impressions, target decision makers at the university as well over there. Look at who your key influencers are on the other side of the hill too.
And just to come back on to your point about the market and the Business Journal and how it relates to this business, I think
the
that
target audience.
yeah, I think there's to understand that opportunity. It could result in a different business plan for the business.
Take executive by day,
Yeah.
decision at night.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
or maybe
I mean, they do mention that they have like their
Yeah.
9 to 5 work days and they want to play late, and
yeah,
their
it could
median
be
their
maybe
median
it's a birthday
age is
party
30.
space, or it could become a corporate space, team building space in some way, like go
Yeah.
outside. You know what I mean? Like learn to play as a band.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that's I think an opportunity possibly.
But it's like, to me, this is like for this publication, this is where, tech executives go to like, let us in and encourage them to do that, as opposed to the touring musician.
Yeah,
Especially for this publication.
I think it's
Same
just making the
headline.
audience and the journal symbiotic.
Different audience.
A lot of opportunity for you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Wells Fargo.
And Silicon Valley Business Journal.
He gets points for that. We're down to 2 people. We can do this. And I hope these people brought samples because we might need it. Let's bring up Carbon Creative representing Tico Coffee Roaster.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. And we are Carbon Creative from Mission College. And we have the opportunity to be working with Tico Coffee Roaster. And this is Mariana, the owner of the Tico Coffee Roaster. And so a little bit about Tico. Who is Tico? So Tico is a small local coffee roaster located in Campbell. And Tico is committed to provide sustainable, exclusive, and unique coffee for their customers. And next slide is the objectives.
As a wholesale business, Tico's main objective was for more consistent and higher bulk sales, especially through corporate offices. They also wanted to appeal to the next generation of coffee drinkers who are interested in unique blends and the personal coffee experience. One of our main objectives was to pique the interest of corporate executives, those who might be interested in getting a new type of coffee for their business. We also wanted to target the event managers who are planning events and are also looking for a new and unique coffee for their next event. Tico also has a large open space available for coffee tasting and team building activities as well. And lastly, the Business Journal readers who are tired of their day-to-day Starbucks and want to try something new and different.
So I'm going to talk about the ads that we created for Tico. So the first ad is about team building. Since Tico offers brewing lessons and coffee tasting session, we believe that is a very strong point to market to corporate offices. Companies can have employees to come out and try different kind of coffees, also learning how to make a perfect cup of joe back at their home. And that would be a great fun event for their employees for team building. Hence, you can see a cup of joe and lattes in hand with the tagline, "Brew with your crew, a unique team building experience." Oh, sorry. And the previous slide is our half-page horizontal ad, and this is our quarter-page ad with the reference to the half page. And next we have the second ad. The second ad is about the cultural experience that one would get from drinking Tico's coffee. Because Tico sources their coffee from all over the world, from Africa to Asia to South America, and each region produces a different flavor of the coffee. And we believe that is a very unique selling point of Tico, which brings us back to the point that that you could experience a little bit of the world, one cup at a time. And that is our half page horizontal ad. And the next slide is our quarter page. And this is our banner ad for Tico's online presence. We use the same cultural experience theme with the background of the traditional ox cart pattern in Costa Rica. And the last ad that we created for Tico is the holiday ad. We came to an understanding that the holiday time is a very special time for Tico's business. And so we would like companies as well as regular people to choose Tico's gift package to give to their coworkers, also to their loved ones for the holiday. And that is our half page ad. Next one is our quarter page ad. And Dan will take over with the print ad.
So we wanted to place our print ads during the peak coffee sales, which tends to be during the fall and winter, once the weather drops and people want to drink something warmer. So based on that, we start our ads in August and build and peak in November, in hopes to get ready for the holiday season during December, where people might see our holiday ad and want to buy coffee for their friends and family. In January and February, we don't have any ads because those tend to be the slowest months for sales. And with the remaining budget, we wanted to spend it on the remaining months in order to maintain that market presence. So with the print budget of $20,000, we like to have quarter page ads for 9 weeks and half page ads for 4 weeks, with the half page ads being placed during the fall. With the remaining $5,000 spent digitally, we'd like to have a minimum of 80,000 impressions, and the rest of the budget spent on the morning edition emails, where viewers can see our ad while drinking their cup of coffee in their hand and think, hey, let's try Tico. And that concludes our presentation.
Thank you.
And Mariana also has a couple gifts for the judges as well.
Do we have coffee?
Always bribe the judges.
So,
Good idea.
I have a couple of, I have a clarifying question. Is Tico Coffee Roasters a retail coffee location, or is the idea they distribute directly to corporate offices?
It's a wholesale, so they sell mostly in bulk, but they also sell smaller bags through their online website.
Okay.
As well.
So that's important, because when I look at so I think, first of all, I think that you guys did a beautiful job. The look of the ads is really pretty. Like it's really nice, very professional, it's really well thought out, the look of the ads.
Thank you.
All right. So what I'm missing though is this could be if I hide Tico, I could put Pete's, I don't get the sense that this is for corporate offices. Like this could be any coffee retailer, right? So the distinction that this is for corporate wholesale, I'm not getting that in the ads. So they look really nice, but I think that who you're talking to is not clearly communicated in the ads.
Is it a destination?
No.
It's not at all. So you always come to the corporation?
Yeah, so it's like the coffee that you have at the coffee machine at work as opposed to, right?
Yeah, it's not a destination, but for the team building exercises, they can either go to our location or we can go to their.
See, and that's unique. So there's two things that are going on here. You have like, what you're trying to do is to get the whomever makes the decision of what coffee they sell at Google to pick, or to whatever coffee they sell at X place to pick Tico, right? And you're not talking to that audience with the ad. You're talking to the coffee drinker to get awareness for Tico. So you're not solving the problem for the corporate office manager who needs to pick the best coffee, and why do they want to pick Tico over anybody else? Is it because of price? Is it because it's more sustainable? Is it because I don't know why, if I am making purchase decisions for coffee for my office, why Tico? Like again, so it's like that proposition is not clearly communicated, even if what you're putting out there is really nice. On the other end, the team building ad, so that's a different strategy. You're trying to get awareness for an event and something like that, different audience. The person who organizes team events is not the one who buys coffee. So you gotta be very crisp about who you're talking to, because if I am a team builder, if I'm trying to think an event for my team, I want unique experiences. Oh my God, like I'm gonna think about Tico, and I'm serious about it, right? Like, oh, this would be a really fun activity, but this doesn't communicate team building to me. This communicates, just coffee, not team building. So maybe the image is more about people brewing, or like something that communicates not the drinking itself, but the activity. And then on the cultural ads, again, it's like you're not talking to your audience. Your audience wants to know why Tico over Starbucks? And is it because it's small? Is it because it's local? Like, that's kind of what I want to know.
This is an awesome campaign for a B2C campaign. And that's what I originally thought it was. That's what I thought I was looking at. And then when someone mentioned Campbell, I was like, oh, let's put Campbell on the map. Let's put Campbell in the ad. Let's get that out there. But that's not what this is. So I think reimagining, and my creative director's not here tonight, but if she were on this panel instead of me, I think she would say, you have to rethink what the creative is communicating to the correct audience. Because while I, as perhaps the consumer, would love an ad like that, I can't just get in my car and drive to Campbell or walk a few doors down to their brick and mortar location. So I think from a strategic marketing standpoint, that changes and could enhance even, but what's the experience? How do you show that?
To add on to that, I definitely thought it was a consumer brick and mortar location, a destination that we could go to. But that said, you guys did a beautiful presentation, and I think it's just a matter of really defining your market. And the Brew with Your Crew, I think, is very clever. I got to tell you, I would love this event to come to my office. So I think it's a really smart business idea. And how you market it across to give more detail of what that is, it's a shift. Like your ad, your layout is basically good. I would simplify typographically a little bit, but that's, details. But I would think about building out, what is that, what team activities are covered within this? Is it planning your coffee, I don't know, how to brew, choose your cups, design your cups, or whatever it is. I don't know, but it might be really nice to have some of that fun detail in there to help sell the idea. And then I think catering your CTA as well would help drive the action of what you need next. So.
And then purely from, the ads per month and that schedule, I would say kind of similar to the last presentation as far as really capitalizing off of a social media strategy in some of the more dormant months. So then that way it's still actually reaching the folks that you want. So once, obviously that would, depend on, obviously this isn't, B2C per se, but I think there's still an angle there from a social perspective that you could capitalize on in some of those different channels.
Just to tack onto that really quickly, yeah, I mean, if this was a B2C, I would say the ad schedule makes sense from an emotional standpoint of it's colder, so I want more coffee. It's, you know, it's the holidays, so I'm going to go snuggle with my dog on the couch and my cup of coffee, right? It's that visual. But the B2B market, I run on 5 cups a day myself, right? And the agency folks are worse than the doctors, right? And we're jittery because we're on so much coffee a day. So I think your schedule is, 12 months of the year, really.
Yeah, and I just want to throw out that the Brew with Your Crew idea could be the umbrella, and then there could be a series of themes underneath what you want that experience to be. So it could be Experience the World. It's about diversity, right? So like the business plan could roll out to different themes of parties that you could have with your crew. And that might be, you kind of roll that into the same idea.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your input.
Only a few people know that song, buddy. This one. All right. The last of the evening. Karen Dash representing J.C. Young Construction. Let's bring him up.
Good evening. We are Karan Dash Design Agency from Mission College. We would like to thank our professors and Wells Fargo and the Silicon Valley Business Journal for this unique opportunity. We are going to present to you our creative design solutions and rollout campaign for J.C. Young Construction, a local Bay Area construction firm. J.C. Young Construction, Miss Young is here with us tonight. She's in the audience. Miss Young started out as a handyman service in 2006, and her business has steadily grown over the years. Her vision for the future of the company is to attract clientele from an affluent neighborhoods, build exclusive homes, and expand to the peninsula. To address the challenge of reaching a wider audience in an expanded area, we looked into generational marketing. That enabled us to narrow down the age range to 30 to 50 years old. This led us to create the target profile, which matched up with the Silicon Valley Business Journal audience. With an 80% print budget, we designed 3 different print ad sizes. We dedicated 20% of the campaign toward digital upper banner ads for the email newsletter's afternoon edition. We created the tagline, "Trust Us," from Miss Young's unique selling proposition, which is based on her honesty, work ethic, and timeliness. The choice of image is deliberate. We did not want a traditional house image, but rather a unique, modern, sleek residential image. We used complementary colors for contrast, and the saturated sky signifies reliability, stability, and trust. The yellow house stands for happiness. These are our 3/4 page and 1/4 page ads. We created the digital ads based off of the branding concept we chose for our print ads. Shown here are the transition slides of the animated GIF ad. We will place the digital ads as upper banner ads in the afternoon edition. We chose the afternoon edition because the target audience prefers email marketing, and recipients have opted in to receive the newsletter. Peak season for the construction industry is in spring and summer. So we propose to place our ads in the non-peak season for ample time to start the process of hiring a contractor for the next year. Our introductory print ad, our 3/4 page ad, will be placed in September in a special construction-themed issue. This will be followed by 12 quarter-page ads, one each month for continuous visibility of the company brand, 2 of which will be in special issues. We propose to place the half-page ad at the beginning of the year. We propose to also strategically place the 3 upper banner ads in the afternoon edition at regular intervals of 3 to 4 months. Some of these ads will coincide with Silicon Valley Business Journal and other outside construction events to maximize the exposure of the company to the Silicon Valley Business Journal audience. And finally, moving on to our campaign budget, we have allocated around 80% of the budget to print ads and around 20% for the digital ads. With our campaign, we will be able to use 99.8% of the budget. Thank you for your time, and we have some sweet treats for the judges.
Thank you so much for your presentation tonight. I know it's never easy to go last, but thank you so much for sticking it out. A couple notes. Thank you. Ooh, that looks good. Thanks very much. I said that out loud. Thanks. A couple quick notes. You're promoting a company that is a female-owned business, a woman-owned business in a very male-dominated industry. And it's interesting that you haven't, from a creative standpoint, played on that more. You mention it in brief copy, but as an agency guy who works in that industry quite a bit, I'd love to see that. I would love to see more of that. I'd love to see her in the ad. I think there's a human interest piece, sort of emotional story that can be built into some of the creative design if that's something that is approved by the client, obviously. I did love your engagement with events and special issues. So far tonight, we've seen students use the editorial calendar, but you actually put on the screen the events as well. And from a CRE perspective in this valley, that's where the rubber hits the road, because it's all the decision makers in the room. And that's where the deals are being made. And so it's really significant that you've thought clearly about how you will execute your advertising strategy in a room, very similar to this, at those journal events. So that's a very significant piece. But I'd love to see more of that, sort of that, call to action, the strong, formidable, powerful woman in this industry. And then from your creative, you're good, this company's going to be going up against, if you're going to be wanting to dominate the South Bay and expand to the peninsula, looking at that second slide there, you're going to be going against the DeMatteis of the construction industry, right? Those are known, respected names in the South Bay. So to do that, I think you're going to have to come up with some unique differentiation beyond, in your creative, beyond just this is a woman-owned business. So really, really good start. And I'd love to see, where this goes. But good presentation.
Yeah.
If I may add to your point of including Ms. Young in the creatives. So in our initial meeting, she was very reluctant to be featured in ads. So we took a different approach to it. We realized that she's in a male-dominated industry, female, and she's a sole business owner. But then we wanted to show uniqueness in the image with the perspective and the different angles of the residential image. So that's why we took this route. We even explored that route as well.
And I think that it is a great point, and I think that knowing the campaign schedule, and again, you did a great job with identifying the themes. that there's a couple, 2 or 3 events that are specific to supporting women in business. And maybe those are the ads, like you create a secondary ad that's featured during those months. And I think it would be very appropriate to highlight the profile and the story in those ads. And I also want to beg the question of, knowing this audience, and again, you did a great job of like drilling down on who this audience is, that perhaps, again, social would be considered as a component here. I think, again, it's a tech savvy, it's a young, innovative millennial market, perhaps. They're pretty hip. I mean, they're on their devices and looking through social. So I think, again, for a small business, it's a great opportunity.
I would also say, great presentation. In regards to the ad, with the copy that's on here, it just really reads like a brief bio of her. And so I think that it necessarily doesn't dig deeper to what she / the business can and is already doing and has done. So I think even, once again, kind of taking that like 3 bullet point approach to really highlighting the main points, like why is somebody now going to go choose this company? Okay, that's great. I see a little bit of a bio, but that's not compelling depending, on your audience, from B2B or B2C, but it's not, at least from a real world perspective, this isn't going to go compel me to go use her company now just by a few brief sentences on an ad. So just some feedback.
But, this is a B2C ad, really. I mean, this is residential that you're promoting, right? So you're right. What would sell me would be to see a key influencer in the South Bay who I know, who used this company and who was super happy with the outcome. And so perhaps doing some kind of influencer testimonial in print or digital form as well would help in terms of your sales and opportunity, right? I mean, ultimately, this is supposed to lead to business development, right? So if you can connect the dots between a successful advertising campaign to, dollars flowing, you did something right.
Thank you, judgment. I was just, hello. I was just told that there wasn't enough battery. We got to do the whole thing over again. So, Ticos, we're going to need coffee. I'm kidding. Let's put a big round of applause for our students that were just up here. Come on. Until you stand here and look your way, you have no idea how difficult this can be, especially when $25,000 is on the line. So really, great job, everybody. But really, this wouldn't happen without our platinum sponsor, Wells Fargo. So Deidre, stand up. Let's give it up. Wells Fargo. And let's also hear it for JP Graphics. They build all these beautiful signage. They're awesome, JP. I want a big shout out to Kevin back there in the corner bringing the music, the sound. Yeah, that's it. Let's give some love to Chris, who put this thing together along with Robert Robledo, who's not here tonight. Big round of applause for this one right here, the great Sam Teeny. Sam. Brian over there jumping out and showing the schools, telling them how it goes. Doug, for just being you. Now, for those who made it, the students, seriously now, what you got from these 4, Larissa, Melissa, Nicholas, Sarah, unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's advice that, well, sometimes it hurts to hear that you're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. You're always on. Go. Go.
Did they turn you off?
Every day at work, this is what we do. We review creative, we talk about the work. Every project gets better with every conversation that we have, every honest conversation we have about our audience, about our objectives, our strategy, the customer insights, and ultimately what the creative's looking like. And it gets better and better, and you get better with every conversation.
Yeah, I would add to just say like we've all and are continuing to be critiqued as well. So like, you know, it's full circle.
Every day.
Yeah.
Never ends.
Yeah.
Honestly, years ago, like, people with their ads and start commenting about the cats or the dogs and the babies. But I think that this so much fun, so much talent. I mean, so much passion in the presentation. I mean, a lot of like so much in how you say things and how you present things. It matters. It's like at Wells Fargo we talk about the what and the how. Everybody here excelled at the how. Like everybody did a great job telling their stories, selling their campaigns. My words of advice is that the strategy, I mean, we spend so much time trying to figure out what is it that we're trying to say, who are we talking to, what are we want to say, what business problem is the advertising solving. And at the end of the day, when us, the people that work with the agencies, it's like, we go back to a brief that it's like, okay, so what are we trying to say, and does the advertising deliver that? So if you don't know what you're trying to say, then you're just doing an ad that doesn't have some backbone behind it, that's solving a business problem, that's targeting a particular person, grounded on an insight about what they think about the category, what they think about your brand, how they use your product, or so all of that matters. And then as it relates to the work itself, the creative, my only piece of advice is that words matter. So every single word you put, why is it there? You know, it's just like, what value is it bringing? Is it real? Is it authentic? Or is it just a word because you think it sounds good? And I think that is really hard. It sounds really harsh and critical, but words matter. So if you say, trust us, why am I going to trust you? Or if you say, just really think hard about what you're saying and how does that link back to what you're supposed to be communicating.
He didn't thank himself because he couldn't. But please put your hands together for Jay Jenske, Director of Sales for the Silicon Valley Business Journal, Director of Advertising. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for putting up. It was a long night, but I think it was worthwhile. Again, thank you to our judges, our students, our companies that gave a lot of effort and time. I know you got a lot of great stuff out of it. Keep it going. And everybody here, and again, one more time for Wells Fargo for making this happen. Thanks, and have a great night.